Hello, welcome back. And this is the second episode. The previous episode, we had the inception story of Temba Malomo and Jerry Tapanji. Where did we start? What caused us to start business? What was the motivator? And we established hunger. In my story, I met with Temba Malomo, the man that gave me the spark that I could make money in town. And he drove hunger. The spark for Mr. Nation was he had a breakup. This breakup was fuel that propelled him to become a multi-millionaire in business. The Nation.
Yes, Jerry.
Recently, break up with your girlfriend. The girl who was a beacon of hope, the girl who gave you direction, suddenly says, I think I'm calling it quits. Where are you in the headspace? And how does this transition into business?
Well, I was broken. I can't lie. I was broken. I was hurt. I felt betrayed, but I moved on. I didn't really move on from immediately, quite all right. I had some healing to do, but I moved on. And by that time, I was still broke. I would entertain money here or there, make a 1,500, it goes, make another 500, it goes, just like that. So at the time where I start learning how to save and actually take this business thing seriously was a time I was visited by a friend, a mutual friend of ours, Monty. So he comes to my place, right? He's also starting to take the dancing career seriously by then, and he had some students that he was tutoring on the side. All right, so he needed a speaker. He needed a wireless speaker, and I was the supplier that he knew that he always went to whenever he needed anything, like an electrical appliance. Mm-hmm. So he comes to me. He's like, "Bro, I need a speaker. Do you have any idea where I can find a speaker that I can use for this event?" So I'm like, I had zero idea on where to find a speaker. None of my connections had any speaker available at the time, but I remember to say that I was in town sometime, the city center in short, for those that don't understand what town means. So I suggested to Monty that we come to the city center, city business center, right? So we did. Upon arrival, we actually checked a lot of shops until we landed at the town center spot where we found a store in particular. We were attended by these Germans, as we call them, people with dreadlocks, guys who are running a store. So Monty was supposed to buy the speaker at, I think, 450 kwacha. That was the asking price. But upon asking a lot of questions, I asked, there were JBL speakers. I think we have one of them, that red one. Do we have anything that we can show? The example. But Ben, speaker Eriko. Speaker. So upon now being, thank you. So it looks something like this. Yeah. I hope you can see it. Looked something like this, these speakers. By the time...
Good quality, by the way.
By the time these speakers were coming in trend, I think Nicki Minaj's song was coming out. There was a song that she had produced, and the JBL speakers were part of the song where the speaker was being submerged in water. And I remember us going to the Adventure City and interacting with friends who were telling me the budget points of the speakers, right? And they were quoting ridiculous prices. I remember them saying it was bought at 2,000 kwacha. Yeah. And by then 2,000 kwacha was like a lot of money.
Still is, by the way.
Still is, yeah.
It's $100 American.
To me, it was like a lot of money in the position where I was. It was like gazillion amounts of money. I was like, wow, 2,000 on just a speaker? Yeah. Ridiculous. Now, fast forward, Monty and I, while in town, we find the exact same speaker that looks exactly the same. I asked about the price, and the guy is telling us 450. I'm like, those guys said 2,000 for these speakers. How? So I inquired. So this guy, the shop attendant, actually lets me in on something. He tells me to say, well, right now you're buying at retail, 450 kwacha. You can hear the sound quality. This is what they sound like. They are not original, but good grade. So I heard the sound quality. It was so good. The bass, it had everything. So I decided to invest, but I didn't have money. All right, I didn't have money. So I asked to say, okay, how much do I need to actually order some, to qualify to order? Somebody was like, okay, you need to get at least 3 speakers for you to qualify as order price. So at order price, we give you a 250 kwacha each. all right, 250 kwacha. So I was like, can we push the budget, to at least have something close to that, or at least. So I asked him to say, what about 200 flat? So the guy accepted. So I didn't have the 600 to invest in the speakers. So I asked Monty, do you have a 600 that we can invest right now? I get the speakers and I will invest you. You get your speaker and I'll give you back the 400 kwacha. And Monty was like, yeah, well, I do have some money, but it was supposed to be allocated for something else. I'm like, yeah, sure, invest. I will reinvest. The truth is, I did not have anywhere to get the money to recover his money from, but just the idea of I can sell this product, right, for a profit. So Monty agreed. He agreed. We got the speakers. I went home. I didn't even have a phone by then, so I used my grandmother's phone. That was an MTN. What do they call? I've forgotten the brand, but those small MTN phones, HTC, not HTC, but something like that. I'll say the name if I remember it. But I proceeded to capture photos. Captured some photos and posted on Facebook pages, Amasample. By then, I don't think we had Marketplace established like it is right now. There was just Facebook pages. So I took advantage of those pages and Facebook pages, and I started posting one by one in the pages every single day. I think it took about 2 weeks for me to get feedback. No feedback, because I started now being anxious, because the deadline was had already lapsed, and I had credit. I had to pay off that debt. I was owing my friend, and it was getting awkward and weird. So finally, I get one customer who inquired, who called. I had a lot of people interacting but not buying. So I had one person who actually reached out, wanting to buy, but they were in town, and I was at Chilenje by then. I didn't have the transport, so I lost that client. When the next client called, I'd already decided to say, you know what, when the client says I'm in town, I'm gonna have to make a way to go in town. If it means I go on foot, I would do so. So this next client calls, yeah? So the next client calls, and I was ready to go. Thank God this client was in my vicinity. So it was an easy sell. Sold my first speaker to the first client, sold the other speakers until they were all sold out, made my profit, and I went back and ordered more, paid off the debt, and that's where business started.
So this is the first time you have your own stock.
This is the first time I'm having my own stock. I'm